Good day, folks. Welcome to Monitoring and Evaluation Made Simple. I'm your host, Coach Alexander. Today, we're going to be talking about something that really holds dear to me, and that's the issue of monitoring and evaluation tools. Now, you might be wondering, why have I put some images right in front of you? Well, I just want to bring a point home. It's the issue of a monitoring and evaluation toolkit. That's what I want us to discuss today. What is a monitoring and evaluation toolkit? Well, to start the ball rolling, if you know the career of engineering very well, you realize that a lot of times for these engineers to get their job done, they need tools, okay? And if you look at this image here, of that lady on the far right, she's holding a toolbox, okay? So now in that toolbox, there are different tools, okay? Of course, she has some of them around her waist. She's got the hammer, she's got the screwdriver, she's got the hacksaw there, she's got a helmet. But in that box which she's carrying is actually, is known as a toolbox, but inside is a combination of other additional tools, okay? So now, imagine looking at it in terms of, looking at it in that sense. Imagine yourself, you're an engineer, you need the tools to get the work done. So it's the same thing with monitoring and evaluation. There are certain tools that you need in order to get any job done, okay? Sorry, okay, before I go any further, there's this new app I just downloaded through my phone. It's called X Recorder. So if you're seeing that blink, that green blink just on top there, I'm just trying out a new app to make the recording of my videos much more easier. But I would have preferred that notification goes out. But as you know, free things, you know how the free thing business is, there's a catch to everything. So I can't, it looks like I can't really remove that notification. But whatever the case, let me go further. And also I'm doing this using my phone. Okay, now back to business. You see, when you talk about monitoring and evaluation, when you have the toolkit, there are certain tools that you need, okay? And I want to talk about those tools, okay? So picture yourself as this lady here holding a toolbox to get her job done in the engineering fraternity. So now, as an M&E, what are the tools that you need, okay? So first things first, you need to, the heart of M&E, okay, is the log frame, okay? So you need to know exactly what is in the logical framework. Okay, so now when I talk about the logical framework, I am simply talking about the framework that tells you what exactly you're measuring. A lot of organizations around the world, they use the logical framework, okay? And in many of their program documents, project documents, they have a log frame, usually found in the annex. So that log frame, it dictates to you what exactly this program wants to achieve at the end of the day. So as an M&E officer, you must always have that logical framework part of you. Okay, that is a tool in my view, because like I said, you need tools to get the job done. And among those tools, it's a logical framework, okay? Then secondly, the other tool you need to get your job done are the data collection tools, all right? I know a lot of times people don't like the idea of collecting data. But I want to tell you one thing. You just have to. Because, you know, at the end of the day, if you're not collecting this data, you're not going to be able to measure the results. You won't be able to tell to the world that indeed so you are making a difference, because everything you do in life, you need to make a difference, especially when these programs are being funded. You need to make a difference. Okay, so if you look at this picture, this particular picture of the man with two other engineers, okay, there's the main man who's holding a piece of plan there. That plan, picture it as the strategic plan in an organization. So in every strategic plan, there has to be the log frame, and then from the log frame, you're able to develop tools that you use to collect the data. Okay? So I've talked about the logical framework. I've talked about having data collection tools. What else do you need in order to get the job done? Certainly, as an M&E officer, you also need the equipment. All right? And this isn't rocket science. Everyone needs this. So we're talking about the laptops. We're talking about softwares. How are you going to be doing the analysis of your data? How on earth are you going to be doing that? If you are accustomed to using softwares like Excel, you know, I don't like to get too complicated. I don't, you know, personally, if the job can be done with the simplest tool out there, you can use Excel and get the job done. I'm talking about Microsoft Excel here. But there are other tools, software applications such as SPSS, Starter, which are statistical packages. You can also use those. But if you're okay with Excel, Excel just works fine. And I think in the future, I'm going to be talking about how I have used Microsoft Excel to get the job done. All right, so we've talked about that. And then another thing which should be part of your toolkit is the other documentation such as M&E plan. All right, you need to have the M&E plan with you. So what the M&E plan really is your plan of action. How are you going to implement M&E interventions? But it doesn't also only go that, it doesn't end there. It also talks about the funding component. Okay, you know, this is something which a lot of people don't want to talk about wherever you go. Why is it that people always run away from funding activities, costing activities? Why is it the case? I don't know. But the truth is, monitoring and evaluation has to have a budget line. Now, whichever way you look at it, I personally think that it has to have a fat budget, but it doesn't always have to be the case. But go anywhere else, it's actually policy in some organizations that if they're going to receive, let's say, $2 million for a project, 10% of that should be on monitoring and evaluation interventions. That's how big M&E should be. We've talked about the toolkit. Let us go deep into the M&E plan. You see, in the M&E plan, we are also talking about, of course, we're not just talking about budgets, tools, the data collection tools, okay? But we are also talking about the personnel. That is something you need to keep to heart. So when you have this toolkit in place, all right, let me go back to that starting picture. yeah, of that, of this lady here. She's holding that toolkit. So once you have the toolkit in place as a monitoring and evaluation professional, you realize that whatever you do will be easy to implement. Okay, think of a toolkit as think of it as the instruments that make your life easy, that make it easy to do the job. All right. If it's a job description, it should be part of the toolkit. What is it your organization expects you to do? What is it stakeholders are paying you for to do? Ultimately, all those tools will help you perform the job easily. Okay, so now we've talked about what the monitoring evaluation tools are. But let me go into another short discussion with you guys on the issue of whether M&E can be done by just anybody. Sometimes I get bothered by the fact that you have a coordinator of a project. He's sitting at the top. He's getting paid the top. I get bothered at some of their way of handling things, because you see, sometimes you're going to see this M&E coordinator, this project coordinator wants to be an M&E officer. He wants to be an accountant. He wants to be everything. That is not how it should work. When it comes to monitoring and evaluation, it's not something that can just be done by anybody. You need to have people qualified for this job. Of course, I must admit, there are not a lot of standalone programs in monitoring and evaluation that I've seen worldwide, okay? I go on the internet, it's just short courses. That is okay, but what we're saying is, do you have the people with the right skills to do the monitoring and evaluation intervention in your organization? Because if you think you can just handpick somebody, it can cost you in future. And that is why sometimes people tend to complain. Why is it that this project is not reporting what we want? Donors are complaining. It all comes down to the M&E system that you have. Actually, I forgot to mention, as part of your toolkit, you need to also have a clearly outlined M&E system for the project and for your organization. I'll talk about the M&E system in future videos. So that's all the time I had for you folks. I sure hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not hesitate to write to me, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe. And I would like you to access a course which is being offered on Udemy. It comes at a small fee, but it was one of the first courses I ever developed on Udemy. Until we meet again, see you on the other side. Bye.